through property trying to put some traps in the ground, and unfortunately I don't have a ton of time today, so I'm not getting a lot of traps in the ground. Plus now we're calling for more bad weather tomorrow, so most of this snow I think is going to melt off today, but then it's more snow tomorrow. So what I've done here is where I am is I'm on the very back of this particular piece of property, and as you can see it's woods back here, and then just on the other side of this property owner's land is national forest. So big woods back in there. This is the landowner's property. Little bitty woods right here. There's a pond up there. And then you can see there's all these trails coming out of here. Okay, and you can see here they go. And they go to that gate right there, which is just open, and there's a fence there. And there's all kinds of coyote tracks in here. There's bobcat tracks in here. There's deer tracks in here. So what I did is right here, I put myself a trail set in. This was already an open spot that the snow had melted. You can see there's some other open spots there, and there's some open spots here and there. And the critters are definitely running up and down these trails. So I went ahead and I put in a trail set here, even though there's cows on this property, but you can see the cows are really not back here very much. The cows are way up there. Pretty far actually. That's where the farmer's feeding them hay, and that's where they're staying. There's nothing back here for them to eat, so they're not coming back here. So what I did is I put a trail set in right here. You see there's a coyote track actually right there. Nice one. And they're just bebopping along this trail, and I put a set there right there where that little cow pile is, cow patty, dried cow patty. I use that to basically hone them in a little bit, to kind of pencil them in there. And so there's my trap right there, and I kind of try to blend it in with the way it looks everywhere else. Normally what I do is I'll put a piece of scat right here to hold them, or to kind of, you know, just slow them down so they'll smell the scat. And then, you know, hopefully I'll have them long enough that they can step in my trap as they wheel along through there. But I don't know what happened to my scat. I'll had it in my little container. I can't find it. So I did something different. What did I do? I put in a little punch hole right here, and I put in a little punch hole right over there. I put in a little bit of lure on each one, and then I just buried the holes back up. A coyote can smell that in a second. Don't think they can't just because you simply cover the holes back up. And then on the cow patty, I put a little bit of red fox urine right there, just to kind of, again, slow them down just a little bit. And they'll smell the urine, they'll smell some lures underneath the ground and go, what's going on here? But they can't see anything. It just looks like a trail. There's nothing for them to see. There's no holes in the ground. There's nothing like that. So that's kind of this set. Again, normally I would just use some scat there and that's it. But in this case, I'm gonna do something a little different just because I can't find my scat. So that's what we're doing there. We also put a set right down here, and I'll just walk right down here and show you. We put a set right here at this gate opening. All these critters are clearly they're coming out of this forest, and they're coming out into these fields to hunt. And there's rabbit tracks in here and other things. So they're coming in here, they're hunting. You can see there's tracks all over the place in here. Coyote tracks, bobcat tracks, some deer, things like that. They're all using this opening right here. Look at all them coyote tracks through there. See them all through there? They're clearly just bopping right on through here, and then you can see as they bop on out that way, and there's some over here they're using. So what I did is I put in a big dirt hole right here. There's obviously a trail going on up through there. I'm gonna put another setup in there, but I don't have time today. Here's actually, you guys can see those, but those are actually bobcat tracks. So what I'm gonna do is I put in this dirt hole right here, and it's a big deep dirt hole, kind of flashy looking, really sticks out in the snow. Granted, the snow is probably gonna melt off today, but then they're calling for more snow tomorrow. But regardless, big deep dirt hole right here, using the wind to our advantage as well. As the critters are rolling through this gate, they're gonna see all this fresh dirt, smell all this fresh dirt, wanna go and inspect it. I put Hiawatha Valley and some Gusto down in the hole, and a little bit of sheep's wool and some red fox urine on this set. And so we'll see what happens. All right, so we're setting up new properties. Where I am now is I'm on the back of this farm. You can see this is the farm out over here. And that ridge over there, we just put a few traps on. I shot some video of a couple of the sets. And then this on the other side there is government. It's Mark Twain National Forest. So that's all government, big woods. But what we got here is we got a 2-track that runs right along here. You can see where the truck is, and it goes down into the valley and all the way around the other side of the ridge. And then we have a trail here, and we have a trail right here, and we have a trail right here, and we have this trail right here. So we have like 4 or 5 different trails and this 2-track that all come together right here. And so what I did is I put 2 sets in here. I put a big dirt hole right here, big flashy deep dirt hole right there. You can see I found some scat that's here. Here's some more scat right there. There's scat all over the place in here. And then over here we put in a flat set right along this edge of the 2-track. Pulled that piece of grass over here, made that as our backing, and put our little punch holes around it, put different lures in there.
Bobcat gland lure.
Bobcat gland lure.
Coyote gland lure.
Coyote gland lure.
Red fox urine.
And red fox urine all over that. And then over here I have Hiawatha Valley Violator 7, some red fox urine, and some sheep's wool down in the hole. And this way we have 2 sets here. We in case there's a pair that comes by here, we have a chance to catch both, and chance to catch anything else that's running through here. It's supposed to get cold. You can see here's a skunk that's been in here going into these cow patties after grubs and insects and things. But supposed to be cold the next few days, chance of snow later today, and then it's supposed to be like highs around mid-20s and lows around 10. So it's going to be cold, which means these predators should be running, and hopefully we'll catch some critters. Maybe we'll catch a double here. So where we are now is we're down here in this bottom. We were just up there at the top of the mountain and on around, and now we're down here in this little draw. The creek's right here. That's the 2-track that we use to get down in here. There's another itty bitty little 2-track right here. There's an old trail right here that runs up through there. There's all kinds of coyote sign here, as far as there's some old scat here, but more importantly, there's tracks in the snow. And then this trail goes up through there and goes that way. So there's lots of things coming together here. There's trail, 2-track, trail, 2-track, and then you've got just the lay of the land, the way it's kind of funneling them. So we put a dirt hole right here, and wasn't super deep, but still, yeah, it was a dirt hole. I made it look like a total mess. And we've got some gator bait, some long distance call from Catch Brothers on here, and I've got some red fox urine. And the reason I put it here is anything that comes down this 2-track is going to see this, they're going to smell it, because the wind is going to help us. And we should also help us anything that comes up that trail right there, because the wind is going to help us. I didn't put it down there for 2 reasons. Number one, it's really soggy and muddy and nasty down there. It's supposed to snow again later tonight, and then it's supposed to get cold, and everything down there is going to be a frozen, muddy, wet mess. So I wanted to stay out of that. And number 2, there's shelf rock under there, so there's no way for me to put an earth anchor in there. I wasn't even sure if I could put an earth anchor up here, but I was able to do that. And if I had a sapling or something or down there I could pre-wrap to, I would have probably just used a drag. But still yet, I was afraid that it's going to be just too wet and everything was going to freeze and be messy there. At least up here, even if we get more snow, this should be a better spot. It should stay drier, and I can be able to control my trap being able to work a little bit better. Plus, we're going to be able to get anything that comes through here anyway. Hey everybody, wanted to give you a little update as we're into the season, into the trapping season here in in the Ozarks. So we pulled traps from our last line, which was like line number 3, and we're moving to line number 4. And I had to work for a couple days and do some other stuff. And then what happened was some weather was coming in, and it did come in, and we got about 4 inches of snow. So I actually held off 1 extra day. And then that snow started melting off, which really saturated the ground. It was a muddy, absolute mess. Half the snow was on, half the snow was not on. And but then it was going to warm up, but then it was going to get cold again right behind it. And I wanted to kind of get into that middle ground of that warm up before it started getting cold again, because I knew the critters would start running again. So I went out, put some traps in, didn't put a ton of traps in, but put, you know, like a dozen or whatever it was traps out there. And what happened was literally the absolute worst case scenario. The ground was really saturated. I could deal with that because I was just, you know, putting traps in proper places and whatever. And then they were calling for the cold front to come through, and I was going to be ahead of the cold front. And then they added some snow to the forecast, which I'm okay with that. It's not going to affect my traps any. I can still trap in the snow. But what happened was, gee, I know this is a shocker. The weatherman did not hit it exactly correct. We didn't really get any snow because the temperature stayed above freezing a little bit longer than what they had expected. So what we got was sleet, freezing rain, rain, back and forth between rain, sleet, freezing rain. Basically, we got several hours of absolute nastiness, which left this big coating of rain and more water on top of my traps, and then freezing rain, and then sleet, and then freezing rain and sleet throughout the evening. And then the front finally got here, and it got really, really cold. And it was like 6 degrees. So what happened was everything was a complete frozen thing, sheet of ice. Good thing is it's not muddy because everything is frozen, but it is really frozen. It never got, I think the high the next day was like 18 or something, and then it was like 7 again this morning. And actually this morning was the first trap day, and we're gonna show that in a video tomorrow. But I wanted to give you an update of kind of where we were. So I'm gonna have some video, which you saw a little bit earlier, of going out and setting some traps in. What you're not gonna have is that day where everything was completely frozen and all I did was go from trap to trap and chip the ice off. There was one trap I couldn't even get out of the ground and get the ice chipped off of it. It was so frozen. The rest of them I actually got all back in working order, and then tomorrow you're gonna get to see basically kind of what is really day 1, because there really wasn't a check day 1 because everything was frozen in. Or I guess maybe some of you, if you want to be really technical, it would be check day 2, but check day 1 was a complete bust. Everything was frozen. The animals weren't moving anyway. Everything was frozen, sleet, freezing rain, nastiness. So that's why you don't have any video of the first day, and then tomorrow you're gonna get video of our actual real first check day when things were not frozen and the animals were actually running. So that's kind of where we are. So you saw some video today of us getting our line in, and now tomorrow you'll start seeing as we're moving forward with our line, no matter what the weather is. But yeah, yesterday was a real, basically, mess of a day. So, and I didn't shoot any video because it was super windy and it was super, super cold. And you were just gonna get me chopping ice off traps in the wind that you wouldn't have been able to hear because it was really windy. The wind chill was like -10, and I think the outside temperature yesterday was like 6 or 10 or maybe 14 or somewhere in that range throughout the day, but it was pretty vicious out. So, all right, you got the update. Hope you enjoyed the other video earlier, and tomorrow you'll get to see some semi-live trapping until we end the season. So talk to you soon. Be careful out there. Be safe if you're out trapping.